Is Questrade still in shape? Questrade used to be one of the top choices for Canadian DIY investors. But in 2026, with Wealthsimple, Interactive Brokers, Moomoo, and bank brokerages competing harder than ever, does Questrade still pass the fit check? With over 10 years of experience investing on this platform, I can say it has changed the most over the last 2 years. So let's put it through 5 grueling rounds and see which areas it's strong in, which areas it's weak in, and determine if it's the overall right fit for you. Round 1, the weigh-in. Let's look at all the fees and hidden costs. So what does it really cost to use? This is probably one question that people ask me all the time, especially with the amount of years that I've been using this program for. So this brokerage account, I've been using, Questrade. I've been buying stocks, selling stocks, ETFs, buying, selling, options trades. And so when it comes to all of that, yes, they have listed it at the $0. And so I have noticed that in regards to all of those trades that I put on, I am not finding there to be any costs associated with it anymore. They used to have different types of fee structures built in. And so I would actually try to cater the way that I would make those trades in my accounts to accommodate for that, but I don't have to do that anymore. And that's been fantastic. And that's due to the competition. So would I say that they're weighing in at a reasonable rate regarding this? Absolutely. They are a lean, mean fighting machine on this. They are not letting anybody else wipe them out in regards to those fees, which is fantastic. Which leads me to the next major fee, which is FX conversion fees, because a lot of Canadians are, putting their dollars to US listed types of companies. And I can say that, they have it baked in that 1.5% conversion, which is nice. So if I have Canadian dollars and I want to buy a US listed security, I can just go ahead and buy that. They'll bake that into the price, which is fantastic. Or I can do the conversion within my Questrade account. So those are some options to consider. And then once it's actually converted over, it just stays within a USD account within Questrade, which is fantastic. So that way you don't have to pay the conversion back, which is really nice. So if I sell my US listed denominated investments, they would basically be sold, and then I would get US dollars for that, which I can then reinvest. Now, there is a technique that I would like to mention called Norbert's Gambit. I won't cover much here. I will leave a link to explain it more in detail down below. Essentially, what you're doing is you are paying that $9.95. So if I have something like anything over $1,000, it really starts to become worthwhile doing it. It takes a couple days to complete, but if I had $1 million, I'd be paying $9.95 in order to do that conversion from Canadian dollars to USD, or from USD over to Canadian dollars. So it's fantastic. It's a great way to avoid those conversion fees, which I find to be really beneficial. And one reason why I think Questrade is still highly competitive, having that low conversion fee is fantastic. In regards to other fees like their margin interest, I would say that it's not super high, but it's not super low. I would say it's relatively on par with all of the other types of investment firms that are out there. There are some that are actually competing to have a lower cost when it comes to margin. So there are other options out there for that, if that was something that you were making to be the major thing for you. But for most DIY investors, we're not really dabbling too much into margin interest, so it doesn't become a major factor. And that goes for, as well, market data. They have a thing called snap quotes. So whenever I put on a trade, because I'm not day trading or anything like that, I don't need to see real-time data. But when I do want to put on a trade, I do a thing called a snap quote, and I click a button that essentially shows me the actual costs of the buy and the sell orders. And so I can actually see where it is at that point and know what I'm going to put on for that trade, and essentially just get my orders filled that way. So I don't really have to ever feel like I need to have that market data. And I don't need that real-time data all the time. So it's a little bit delayed on some of the types of investments that you might have. So if you have Canadian listed, level 1 is included. If you have American, that level 1 is not included, but you still have that snap quote. And so that's more than enough for most people. One of the other things that I would like to mention, and I'll show you my screen here, is they have this security lending program. So not only are you really paying these very low fees, next to nothing, you can actually enter into the security lending program. And you can see here that Essentially, if I was to take $10,000 worth of my investment, so if I had something like VOO, and then they were lending that out and they were accruing interest on it, then they would split that with me 50-50, and I'd be looking at having an annual revenue of that much. So it just, again, it depends on what they're lending, but I participate in that program, and I find that not only am I not paying any fees, but now I'm actually accruing and actually making money off my account. And so I'd say that for Questrade, when it comes to round one, they are a lean, mean fighting machine. I put them in the strong category in this area. If you are getting value from this video, like and subscribe to receive more reviews like this one. Keep in mind that I only review products that I actually use, and I do not receive sponsorship offers to keep these reviews neutral and unbiased. Round two, the flexibility test. This relates to things like accounts, fundings, and transfers. So can it move the way investors need it to move? Well, one of those things are in regards to the registered accounts. This, I believe most people underappreciate it because, you know, a lot of different types of brokerage accounts might have something like a TFSA and an RRSP. But ultimately, when you really start getting deeper into investing, you'll find that there needs to be a lot more than just that. You want to get the first-time homebuyer savings account, the registered education savings plan because kids come down the pipeline. You might be managing your own pension, and you might be getting into something like a LIRA. So there's lots of different types of accounts that you might want to consider getting into down the road. And so future-proofing that is one benefit that I find. And so when it comes to Questrade, they have a huge list of options when it comes to those different types of accounts, just like many of the major banks. And so for that, I'm giving them an A+ in the flexibility test in that area. There are a couple areas that I would like to factor into, which is in regards to funding an account. So you can see here, you have things like instant deposit. So if you're wanting to do that, you can totally do that with Canadian only. Online banking, bill payments, pre-authorized debit, transfer from another bank to a broker, wire transfers, all of this. So I found that it's actually not too hard when it comes to funding. I found it to be quite easy. The easiest way that I tend to do it, and just always do it that way, is just setting up the bill with my online banking. It takes about a day or two. I don't really care to have things like super fast right away. So to me, that's more than enough, but ultimately they're pretty good in regards to that. When it comes to transfers, I have experienced transferring various types of investments as well as dollars over to Questrade. And I've done that as well too with different types of registered accounts. I would say that it's pretty seamless. Some people have had experiences where it has been a little bit difficult at times. It does take a number of days in order for them to be able to complete those transfers. But for the most part, I would say it's something that isn't too complicated to do. So this is why I'm giving them a high flexibility rating. I believe that they are very strong in this category as well. I wouldn't say that they're the utmost best, but I would say that, you know, for the most part, it's fairly reasonable. At any point through this video, if you would like to sign up with Questrade, you can use my referral link below to lock in some additional sign up bonuses. So now getting back to what we were talking about, round three, the strength test, investment products and trading features. How much can Questrade actually handle? You can have the lowest fees, you can have the most flexible options when it comes to moving money in, but if you do not have the products that you want, it is useless. And so this is a very important feature. So when it comes to stocks, ETFs, and options, they have all of those on their platform. And they do have mutual funds, and they have a really, I would say, a healthy list of GIC options. I like the fact that they have a very long list of GICs that you can actually purchase. So it's not something that you're going to get that, you know, feels like, you know, you've got one option when you have a bank and there's really that limitation. You're going to be able to get sort of like a big book full of GICs to pick, and you can kind of figure out which terms are better for you. They do have bonds as well too. It's a little bit different than the States. So I found that When it comes to the Canadian bonds, maybe not as beneficial, but they do have that option there. They have IPOs. They do have precious metals. So if you wanted to purchase precious metals with them and then you wanted to cash out and have those precious metals on hand, they have that option to be able to have that redeemability. They have different things like, FX and CFD accounts. Again, that's more getting into some of those like day trading type of activities. One good thing is they do have extended hours of trading. So if you're wanting to actually have that extended trading time, that is an option to consider. For me, I personally like to trade when there's that high volume during the day. That tends to be when I typically trade. So for me, the most part, I find that extended hours maybe not the best, but it's actually good to know that they have that as an option. Another cool thing is they have fractional shares. Again, so it's fractional shares for certain listings. So for me, I find that the fractional shares can be beneficial for different types of investments that actually are, very large to purchase. So if I'm going to have to buy something that's, like VOO, where I'm getting into, a really high fee for it, it's nice to know that I can actually get, a portion of that share. So if I have $100 or $200, I can put that straight to work and I can actually buy those investments, which is fantastic. So when it comes to the strength test, I would say that it has, if not, the exact same you'd get on any other platform, but I would say it actually has a lot more. And so in regards to Questrade, this is probably one of their major strengths. And I think that's also because they've been in the business for so long. They've been able to, accumulate more and more products that they're able to offer. So when it comes to the strength of Questrade, I would say that it is fairly strong in this area. Okay, round 4. Stay with me here. We're going through the form check. So this is the platform, the app, and the user experience. So does it feel good to use? Well, I've used all of the different types of platforms that Questrade offers. They offer a plethora of different options. So when it comes to the mobile app, you've got 2 different options. You've got the mobile edge and you've got just the regular mobile app. And I found that the regular mobile app is more than enough for most people. The edge is something that I prefer to use when I'm putting on trades though, because I want to be able to just have the same experience that I have when I'm using my desktop app. But both platforms are intuitive, they're really good to use. And so I haven't had no issues there. When it comes to the web platform, it's exactly the same sort of thing. Again, it might be a little bit confusing because there are 3 various options when it comes to their web platform. They have the standard simple version when you're going into your account for the first time and you're actually putting on your trades. You're going to find that it's very simple. You can just type in a symbol that you're looking to purchase. You can buy that, you can put on that trade. And it's quite similar to something like you'd see like Wealth Simple or any of the other types of investment accounts. They do have an option to click on the edge. And when you go into the edge, you can actually see a little bit more of complex window structures and a little bit more information that you're able to see in regards to putting on those trades. And so the edge is usually what I think a lot of people tend to do when they're putting on their trades because of how it works. The other option is getting into their Pro, which I found to be quite interesting. I believe it's still in the beta phase, so it might be rolled out by the time you're watching this. But basically, you can put up the windows and different things. I look at it as it's similar to what you can see as the desktop experience when you download it on your computer, which leads me to that. And so in regards to the desktop experience, think of it like you're able to open up a window. So you want to see your orders. You want to be able to see, the research that's out there in regards to different symbols, or you want to see, a watch list of different types of symbols that you're after, or you want to have, an options chain option looking there. You want to be able to look at a graph to be able to see and chart things as well too. So it's kind of a little bit more in depth. So if you're putting on a little bit more of a complexity of trades and stuff like that, that's kind of what that tool is used for. And so for the most part, most people won't get into that. I tend to like it. When it comes to the layout and the design, I would say that, if you stay to the simple apps, you're going to find that you're not going to be overwhelmed or confused. And I think they intentionally did it for that reason. If you start going into the edge, you're going to get a little bit more kind of feature rich. And that's where I believe that if you are wanting to have the option to be able to live in something that's a little bit more simplified, you can do that. But then if you want to have that slow advancement into, more and more complexities with the way that you put trades on, you have the flexibility to grow into that. And so that's one of the things that I see that Questrade has that stands out from most other competitors. They're usually just giving you one option or one layout. So having a few different layouts and a few different options to cater to different audiences really stands out for me. So for the form check, I would say Questrade passes this area with flying colors. You've got multiple options. Just be mindful of which option you are selecting. Some people might get confused and start using the Edge or start using the Pro or start using the Basic. Just know that what kind of investor are you and which option do you want to stick with, and just choose to use the platform that best suits your investment style. Round 5, recovery and consistency. This relates to things like automation, support, and long-term use. So I just didn't know where to cover it. So I'm like, what, recovery and consistency, that kind of covers this round. And so can it help investors stay consistent? That's my number one question. And one of the ways that I would look at this is what kinds of things and features do they have that way? So one is reoccurring investments. Most people want to be able to just have money going into an account, which essentially you can do from, any way that you would deposit in there. So like for me, just being able to have my bank account where I set it up as a bill and I can just have it set up as a reoccurring bill that gets paid from my bank account. Then when it goes into that account, I can set up those reoccurring investments. So basically purchasing those different investments that I want from those dollars that get deposited in, and it automates the whole thing. Another cool automation thing is called DRIP. So that dividend reinvestment. So I can actually take all the dividends I'm making from that one stock and or ETF, and I can have it get reinvested back into that stock and reinvested back into that same ETF. So you can have that as an option to turn on as well. So it really makes it very, very passive, which is fantastic. They have another thing called custom indexing, which I'm not going to get into. Maybe I'll do a video on this later. But essentially what you can do is you can take an index like the S&P 500, and let's just say you want to be able to modify it. You want to be able to have a little bit more heavy in regards to AI, or you want to add a particular stock into your index. You can do that as well too. So there are some really cool features that they have that way, which I believe that a lot of other competitors actually are not doing right now. So that's something that I would say Questrade is definitely leading in. When it comes to the customer support, I had to talk to them many times over the 10 years. And I found that their support is reasonable. There's nothing that I have noticed where I feel like they have not been, good over the phone. There have been a couple of issues that I've had, and they're quick to resolve it. They do have a large list of learning resources. So looking at my screen here, you can see Learn to Use Questrade. There's lots of various types of articles that you can learn from their site. I'll leave a link down below for this as well too. So overall, in regards to recovery and consistency, I would say it has quite a few different features that most people are going to want. So I don't find there to be any real major lack in regards to the types of features that I've seen on other platforms. And so I found that for the average investor, it seems to be quite on par with everything else. So I'm going to give them a score of being strong in this area as well too. Does Questrade pass the 2026 fit check? Questrade passes the fit check. If you want broad account types, you want low fees, and you want to be able to have advanced tools as well as a simplified platform to see, this is the account structure that I would prefer to have. I really like Questrade for these benefits. I'm going to leave up here a quick breakdown of all the different areas. So when it comes to their fees, they are very competitive. When it comes to account types and how they're funded, I would say they are doing great. When it comes to their investment products, they have a large lineup of different investment products. Their platform experience is also really good. They have lots of varieties of ways that you can view their platform. When it comes to automations and support and all sorts of other types of features, they are doing good in that category. Do I use Questrade? Here it is. Yes, I use Questrade. I use it as my main driver. Questrade is by far the best platform out there when it comes to investing for the self-directed investor. Any DIY investor that's investing, I would consider this as a strong competitor. I would say that Questrade, in my opinion, is the best, and I would not move at this point in time because all of the benefits definitely outweigh the cons. Again, if you're wanting to get signed up with Questrade, I do have a sign up bonus down below if you want to take advantage of that. And to review some of the key features to turn on and to learn how to make your first trade after setting up an account, click this video over here. And if you're not sure about Questrade and you want to watch a brokerage comparison video, click this video over here.